good. Yeah, pretty good, man. He's John Legend, man. He's an impressive artist. He kept the crowd, kept our attention, and he's a great songwriter, singer. I wish Avery Jr. would have stuck with playing the piano a little bit more, you know. But since I guess you couldn't play rap music, he got a little bit bored. But watching John play a piano, man, is he's gifted. I had a chance to spend some time with him when I was coaching the Nets.
Oh, really?
So had a chance to get to know him a little bit, and boy, he's had an impressive career, and he's glad he had a chance to come to Tuscaloosa and entertain the great folks of Tuscaloosa.
What's your communication been like with Braxton these last few weeks as he's going through this process?
You know, we communicate, all the time, and, when this process started and when he came in and said he was very serious about declaring, we talked about what that process would look like, and, we provided he and his family with all of the information, and, I told him what I thought kind of the prognosis would be in terms of where, whether he would get drafted or not, get invited to Chicago or not, or how many workouts he potentially would have, and, it's pretty much right in line with what's been going on. But he's been working out really hard, and, he really wants to be good, and obviously the NBA is one of his goals, and I think the main thing is, just trying to figure out what's the best timing, and he and his family will make a decision before the 24th, and we're on standby waiting for that decision.
Have you had any expectations yourself about what you expect him to come back? Obviously, just kind of letting it be as
I
it is.
think, that date, whenever that date, the 24th comes, if he stays in the draft, we'll have to make a decision. If he decides to come back, then all of the returning players know that, by 3 o'clock on the 29th, they all have to be on campus, and we have a team dinner that night. So, and obviously our freshmen, they'll arrive the day before. So we'll know what we're dealing with here in the next couple of days, because even if he decides to come back, we've encouraged him to make sure he gets in his paperwork early enough so there won't be any glitches.
Can you share who he's had
In terms of
workouts
talent coming in next year, just how big of a jump do you think SEC basketball will make?
I'll get to your question in a minute. Boston Celtics.
And that's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you see me proudly not only wearing here's my A, but I'm also wearing my SEC shirt that, and I wear it proudly because we are making a move in terms of our conference in basketball. You saw how a lot of our teams performed at the end of the season last year, and we were one of those teams. Unfortunately, we didn't make it to the tournament, but probably was about 2 or 3 minutes away from making it. But you saw the way our teams performed in the tournament and getting 3 teams into the Sweet 16 and 1 team in the Final Four. I thought it was an outstanding year and a step in the right direction, and I think it was what Commissioner Sankey had in mind and Dan Leibovich had in mind when we started talking about really making basketball relevant and being very competitive with a lot of the other conferences around the country. Hopefully this year, we got Quanzo, obviously, Martin, the new coach at Missouri. They have some very talented players coming in. You have some teams like Texas A&M that has some talented players coming back. I know a lot of their players. So I think we'll have a chance to hopefully make a push where we can get a minimum of 7 teams hopefully in the tournament, and potentially have teams playing well enough at the end of the year where they can continue to advance.
You officially hired a new assistant coach yesterday. How did that come about? Did you know Coach Rosemond just in your time, and how did the hire sort of come about?
Yeah, I didn't know him at all, and obviously when we knew right before the Final Four that we were making a change, one of the things we wanted to do was try to help whenever a coach is contract's not going to be renewed, you want to try to help him, get another job. And that's why it was kind of quiet for a minute. And as Coach Simon was going through some interviews, but we got a list of about 15 guys that we were targeting, and they didn't know we were targeting them, and I didn't know if they were going to be available. So we just did our research on a lot of those guys, and then we narrowed it down to 2 or 3 candidates, and one thing led to another, and Yasir emerged as the leading candidate, and we moved forward, and called Coach Fox, and he was gracious enough to give us permission to talk to him, and one thing led to another, and now he's officially a part of our staff, and he has great work ethic. He had a good run on the Oregon staff, and obviously, he's familiar with the SEC. He's familiar with Alabama, having coached at Sanford, and it just takes a lot when you're hiring the coach. They have to check a lot of boxes, and I know everybody talks about recruiting, and that's a high percentage of it. But when we're recruiting, even though a guy may have the lead on the recruit, it's all of us pitching in to help. So we think he's going to help in a lot of different ways, and he's off to a great start with the other guys, Coach Pelfrey, our associate head coach, and Coach Antoine Petway, both of whom we think Coach Pelfrey and Petway are going to be head coaches here sometime soon in the future.
How important was it to get a guy that has connections to Atlanta, knowing the type of talent that comes out of that city?
First of all, because we've had arguably one of our best recruiting classes in the history of the university, we didn't want to take anything for granted. So he has a lot of great relationships in Georgia and Tennessee and Florida and elsewhere. And he has some ideas about how to help us grow even our recruiting internationally. So we just didn't want to take anything for granted. But again, there's no knock on any of the coaches that have worked with us in the past. They've all, their names. They've done a terrific job. But, it's I just completed my second year, and sometimes you got to make tough decisions. That's just the way it goes. And I know sometimes that changes relationships with guys. But we appreciate everybody that's come through our program and have helped us. But we think Yazir, he told me I can call him Ya, because I'm probably going to mess up his name 20 times a day. But we think he helps us in a lot of different ways. Great chemistry with the staff, great people skills. J.J. Frazier tweeted something out about how they had a great relationship. So after you recruit these kids, you got to continue to have a great relationship with them and their families, and we think he can do those things.
You said you were
my golf game?
Yeah,
What did Charles Barkley say? Terrible? Terrible. Yeah. Not good. I played, I was fortunate enough to play Augusta National a couple of weeks ago. I parred number 15, but don't ask me what happened on the other 17 holes.
I got some advice for you, though. If you wore John Daly's pants, it might take
No,
away
I
from that.
played with Daly. He's a fun guy to play with. And then the first year I played in the Regents tournament, I played with one of my old Woodland, Texas neighbors, Jeff Maggard, and he laughed so hard at my swing, he won the tournament.
Let's do 2 more questions.
How important was it to get Armand Davis back, and just what role will he have next season?
Well, it's important because we invested a lot in Armand, and he only had 1 year left, and we want to see him graduate from Alabama, and he had some moments for us on the court last year. So we're looking forward to having everybody on campus and seeing how we can put this team together and help them play to the best of their abilities. You guys have already heard we're going to play 3 games in Canada, so that'll be a great little trial run for us. We've talked about playing 2 exhibition games this year because we have a lot of new parts. So Armand and the guys that are coming back are significantly important, along with our incoming freshmen.
Can you give us some details?
Coach, have you ever
Somebody else? Yeah, go ahead.
Just can you give us some details on the playing in Canada, some games?
Sure.
And have you lined up those exhibition games?
Yeah, so here's what I'll tell you about the Canadian trip. We leave August 4th, and we return on August 12th. And we're going to play 3 games, 1 in Montreal and 2 in Ottawa. Okay, and those 2 games will be back-to-back games. And then we'll take one day and do a little bit of a sightseeing and educational tour for our guys. Maybe go to Niagara Falls or something like that. And so we want to combine this trip being a team building activity for our team, play some games, get some practices in. Especially since we got 5 freshmen in the red shirt, Daniel Giddings, who didn't play last year. So we'll have more specific details on who we're playing, game times, and all of those things in the upcoming weeks.
Coach, have you ever stepped under a shooter during a jump shot?
No, because I tried to legally close out on shooters when I closed out.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.